Let me ask you a question. Right now, I'm sitting on our bigger couch. It's a 3-seater one. But on the back there, we also have a 2-seater. This one. Would you consider putting that cover onto this couch? And I'm not even talking about the size. Let's say that one was also a 3-seater one. Would you consider even attempting to put that cover onto this couch? Yeah, I don't think so. Because you see that they're two completely different shapes. This one has armrests, that one doesn't. This one has a lower back, and that one is poking even in the distance. Now, this video is obviously not about couches. It's about clothes. And why do we treat clothes either as one size fits all or one design but graded fits all when it obviously doesn't? Why is it that when it comes to a piece of furniture, I have full understanding that if I want a cover for this couch, I need to measure carefully this specific couch and look for a cover designed specifically for these measurements? Or if I were to make it myself, I would measure everything I need to measure and design a pattern specifically for the cover for this couch. But when it comes to clothes, this is not the case. What's the most usual first protocol? Oh, if I want to make a dress, I need to buy a pattern. But wait a moment, you are not a couch. There is no such thing as a standard measurements pattern designed for you. Because the companies who design these patterns, they create them for whatever average woman. She's not real. She's not you. So no wonder that you can spend hours copying that pattern perfectly onto a piece of fabric, following instructions, blah, 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 and the dress will not fit you well because it was never meant to. Because why are we treating our bodies like standard size furniture? And not only are we very different in sizes and shapes and us specific imperfections, but we are also living, breathing humans, and our bodies change sometimes in very us specific ways. Why do we keep looking for someone else to come up with a design for our body when they have no idea how our body looks like? Nobody else knows what challenges you have with clothes and your body. When I talk about my issues, I always mention my bigger hips because this has always been one big thing throughout my life since I was like 12. I have smaller top, smaller waist, and much bigger hips. So naturally, I had issues with dresses because if they fit around my hips, they're too big around my chest. There is like this expectation by the industry standard that if you have bigger hips, you must have bigger boobs. Wait, you have smaller boobs? Then you must have smaller hips. But I don't fit that narrative. I'm different. I have smaller boobs, I have smaller waist, and I have bigger hips. I've always had issues with trousers for the same reasons. If they fit me around my hips, I will be drowning around my waist. And if they would fit around my waist, theoretically, I wouldn't even be able to get them through my hips. And then we might think, you know what, I just need to size up. But sizing up also doesn't solve the problem because it's the same design but graded bigger. And if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you because there is no way to grade a dress design that is, for example, perfect for me around my hips and too big around my boobs. No matter how you grade it, it will always not work. And my personal dress example is exactly like these two couches. Me trying to buy a ready dress is like trying to put that cover onto this couch. I'm not trying anymore to take someone else's design and hope that maybe it will work for me. I know it won't. I'm not a standard, and it's not a good thing, it's not a bad thing, it's just a fact. My body measurements do not belong to a single sizing system. They just don't. I'm always in between 3, if not 4 or 5 sizes. Clothing manufacturers as well as ready pattern manufacturers, they have one goal. They need to fit as many people as possible into that particular design. And they try to find a way to make these patterns work for as many people as possible, ironically resulting into these patterns hardly working for anyone at all. And when it comes to fast fashion brands, they just found a very lazy but very convenient loophole, adding Elastane to everything they make. Because yes, stretch will mask the bad fit. Stretch will make any garment more suitable for a variety of bodies. And the fitting problems don't just happen with something super tailored, super fitted. It also happens with most plain and basic everyday clothes. I have a few examples for you. In my 20s, I practically abandoned clothes making. I totally bought on a lie why waste time on making when you can just buy it, and it resulted in many very questionable purchases. One of them was this blouse that I loved because the design was super cool. It was short sleeve, it was slightly oversized, it had this high-low hemline. If you think oversized, you think bigger. It should definitely fit. But it didn't. I bought it because I loved the design, but I hated the fit. Basically, every single time I wanted to take a deeper breath, I could feel how the fabric was just locking my chest in because the measurement, cross-chest measurement, was too tight. So it didn't allow me to properly open my chest. And that doesn't mean that the shirt had a bad design or something is wrong with my body. No, it just means that the shirt was not made for my body. That's it. Another unusual common problem I had was trying to find pajama trousers. It seemed like a mission impossible. Maybe I was looking in the wrong shops, maybe it was the wrong time, whatever. I always struggled to find cool pajama trousers, and I never understood how people just, have these cool PGs. Nothing ever worked for me. It always looked awful. Look, I'm wearing right now this super relaxed kind of beach pajama set, which I absolutely adore. And it's very simple. It's just a shirt and trousers with an elasticated waistband. It's nothing complex. It's nothing crazy creative. It's super, super simple. But this set has basically become my uniform for the last 2 years. I absolutely love it. Why? Because it actually fits me. Because I can take my breath, because I can move my arms. Both the trousers and the shirt are exactly what I wanted. And they're both made with natural fabric. Actually, this used to be our old bedding. And I love the color, I love the feel, and I love how soft and nice and cuddly it is. And I love how it sits around my body because I designed it to sit around my body this way. Every single curve, no matter how simple it looks, has been a decision that I made when designing it. Every single line serves a purpose to be the fit, the look that I intended when I first came up with this idea. Designing clothes, and I'm talking about designing, not just copying patterns, is not reserved for some special people with some special magical skills. This is a skill that you can absolutely learn, and it's called pattern drafting. It consists of a few steps. First, you need to learn how to turn your body, your unique body, the way it is, no matter your sizes, measurements, postures, whatever, the way it is, you learn how to turn it into your own 2D blueprint, which is called custom pattern blocks. In super simple words, it's translating your body, your 3D body, into a 2D form on the paper. And it includes your measurements and your posture and any use specific bumps and curves and whatnot. And then, once you master this, you use these blocks to design sewing patterns. And because the patterns are designed based on you in the first place, everything that you create afterwards will always fit you. And it will fit you the way you want it to fit you, because you'll be in control of ease and fit. Once you understand the process, you never ever have to ask again, do you have a pattern for that? Because you can just grab your blocks and design your patterns in a matter of minutes. Let me show you how I use my custom blocks to design patterns for today's outfit. How to make a pattern for this oversized fit shirt. As always, I'm starting with my custom blocks. These are dartless blocks with 40 centimeters ease and the matching sleeve block. Let's start with the front. First, I want to copy my block exactly how it is. Then I decide on the length, let's say till the end of the paper here, and also I open it up to the side slightly, like an A-line. And then as well, I need to add a button stand. So this is my center front. Buttons are sitting here. So I need to add a bit more to allow the shirt to overlap. That's my new neckline. And then as well the facing for the button stand, which can just be whatever is left here. Next is the back, and I also want to add the pleat in the middle. Make it easier to see, I will draw the entire pattern, not just half of it. And here's how I love doing my pleats. I just fold the paper. Let's say something like this will be my pleat. And now I copy my block next to this new pleat. And same idea here. I want to open it slightly to the side, like an A-line. And I cut it out. So I can also fold here the pleat a little bit, so I can see it on both sides. Let me highlight it for you. So this is my center of the pleat in pink, and this is the center back. I don't have to continue all the way down, the main thing is happening here. What happens if I just fold it? It's so much easier in real size. But basically, if you just fold it towards the middle, so your center back, towards this middle of the pleat. If you do nothing, if you just fold it, right, and you stitch it, like attach the collar or whatever, and you leave it like it is, when you wear it, here on the back, it will look like you have an extra bump here on the back. It's very unflattering and pulls the fabric in a very strange way. So what you want to do instead, before doing anything with your back panel, you go back to the wrong side. I stitch a little bit over here on the top of my back, so kind of where you usually have your yoke for the shirt, and then I stop. So it's a short 10-20 centimeter stitch, and then once this is done, this bit closed, and then it opens up as you wear the shirt. This part of the pleat you just iron this way on the top and then let it go. So in case of fabric, it just goes straight into nothing. But this is how you do this back pleats if you don't have a yoke. You have to close it underneath. You have to stitch it first. But in terms of pattern, this is the general shape. And then we have the sleeve in case of this particular design, because my bodice blocks don't have hugely oversized shoulders. They're just a little bit longer than my usual shoulder. The standard sleeve block here doesn't really work because the cap is still too high. So instead I converted into a sports sleeve block, which is more comfortable and in my opinion looks better for this design. I copy this block as it is first and I cut it out. I want to draw a funny shape that kind of resembles a fringe, like a curve this way. And somewhere in the middle, more or less, I also draw vertical lines this way. And now I will cut it from the armhole up the way and then this little bit up. Same on the other side. Spread it open this way, a little bit up, and this way as well on each side. The easiest way to do that is to glue it. So the main body of the sleeve doesn't change, only these bits. Correct seam on the back, the curve, and on the front. And the final part here is the collar. So I need to measure the length of my final neckline. I would have to close my pleat and I'm measuring this half of the back and on the front before the center front this way. Measure this curve and this will be the length of 1/2 of my collar. And this is a straight band collar, so it's basically a rectangular shape. And I often just keep it completely simple because I like the shape of these corners. Center of the collar, okay? And this will be your half, so we cut it on the fold. What else? The cuffs for the sleeves. Basically just a rectangular, a bit shorter than the sleeve. Something like this. What else is left? The side seam. I made them again a little bit, something like this, a bit high-low hemline. And this shirt has a slit, so something like here, it's opened. I didn't do anything special, I just turned in the seam allowances and that works for the slit, that's enough. And that's it, that's my final pattern for the shirt made using my standard blocks. How to make a pattern for wide-legged trousers with elasticated waistband. As always, we start with our basic trouser blocks. I start with the back and I just first copy the block as it is. On the back, we don't change much. From the hip line down, I made them slightly wider. Just allow the line to drop naturally down. And then I don't touch the inner thigh part, only below the knee line, make them slightly wider. So here is a new outline. That's my new inner seam, nothing changed at the crotch. That's it, it's ready, I can cut it out. Now in the front, things are slightly more interesting because we can add more width at the front by adding the pleat. Here's how I do it. I take my separate piece of paper, fold it, and I can just decide how wide I want my pleat to be. And now I take my pattern and align my center crease with the pleat. And now I copy it. It's my green direction. I want to add same amount as I added on the back. On the inner seam, this much. And on the outer side, this much. And I go ahead and extend my pattern from the hip down. We don't need this dart, but we could remove a little bit from the side. And now this is the final shape of my front pattern. And I cut it out. In the waistline, I cut out folded, and that's my new front pattern. Nice deep pockets are nice. I want slightly curved opening. Now I go ahead and copy the waistline, and now I can draw my pocket. So that's the base of my pocket. Now I draw the lining. I cut out my curve. And go ahead and copy it here and cut it off. Here is my pocket pattern ready. The base, the lining, and the trouser. And if you want to have an elasticated waistband, then you don't need these darts either. So if this waistline is slightly wider than my usual waistline, it works for me because this will be just gathered by the elastic. And how do we measure the length of the waistband? You put together your front with the pocket and pleat folded, and then your back, and I just mark it. Yeah, this will be half of the waistband. On the fabric, I'll just cut it the full length, and that's it. That's my pattern for white-legged trousers with a pocket, with a pleat, and elasticated waistband. You see how quick and easy that was. Because once you understand the base, you can truly design and make any garment you want. And the best part is that everyday clothes, the stuff that you actually wear in your life day to day, is really simple, borderline boring, which is good news because you can actually make the clothes that you would want to wear and wear it. And if it sounds like something that you would love to learn, that's exactly what we teach at Arkdefo. We make clothes making make sense. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you next Friday. I'm not actually going anywhere. I just spent the rest of the day on the couch.